Hey guys, Dan Heilman back with another video. Today we're going to talk about something a little different. We're going to talk about owning anything. Can you really truly own anything? This is what I'm going to give my take on in America. And I really think that Bitcoin and some of these cryptos are basically the only thing that you can actually own without the risk of them being taken from you. I was just talking to a coworker the other day, and it was just interesting because, for example, I just bought a new house, and even if I had the house fully paid off, if I didn't pay my property taxes, they could just take my home from me. And if they wanted to just build a highway straight through the center of my house, they could just claw back my land for me and say, hey, we're going to build a highway here. Sorry, we'll give you X amount for your house. And that's that. That doesn't happen very often in America, but I believe that is the law here. So that's kind of interesting. I just want to talk about some stuff like that. First, we'll just give a market update, go through real quick. Just be a short little video, an interesting, thought-provoking discussion today. So yeah, let's go. So right now we have kind of a bull flag. Sometimes this can be kind of a bear flag because you have like a price here that's being blocked, and then sometimes we might fake down. That is the current situation I think we're in. I'm thinking that maybe we will come down maybe into this green box, but we could only come down to like 92 and then reverse and turn back around. So I'm thinking maybe something like this. We have the cycle low here as my indicator is picking, and it's kind of an interesting cycle low because it says roughly somewhere, next month, 5-10, we're going to see some sort of a cycle low. And there's some interesting news to kind of support that. We have the Fed meeting, first of all, on the 7th, which might be, price action really is king. So sometimes we'll find these narratives to say, yeah, price did this because of this. And there's always a narrative you can find for price action. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens here. I also saw some interesting news that basically for the strategic reserve, let me go on X. If you want to follow me, feel free. It is Dan Heilman 3. But this one's really interesting here. So reminder, Trump's 60-day executive order on Bitcoin strategic reserve expires on May 5th. Interesting, because that is in the timing window here. So May 5th is right here. It's like the second day of this green estimated cycle low, right? So if we go through this here, it says, within 60 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of the Treasury shall deliver an evaluation of the legal and investment considerations for establishing and managing the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Now, there's a million things that they could do, but the one rule was they're not going to use taxpayers' dollars. So they're not going to use taxes to purchase Bitcoin, but that still leaves a bunch of open items for this to be able to be used here. And in other news, we have some layoffs as well that actually were lower than estimated. So that's good. We want the economy to kind of hold up for a little bit. If we want at least my base case of, having a cycle top somewhere around October this year, we need the economy to hold up for at least a couple more months, and then we're free to go in some sort of a recession. But this is really interesting because he's been selling these gold cards, I think $1 million a piece, and he's made, I don't know, a couple $1 billion from it. They could use that. There's some talks about maybe selling some of the strategic gold reserves and converting it into Bitcoin. That would be another interesting one. And there's a bunch of other catalysts that could, if the US says we're going to start buying this much, or we're going to convert some gold to Bitcoin, I think that would be a huge catalyst for people to start getting into Bitcoin, especially other countries. And that could cause a little bit of supply shock. The supply of Bitcoin on exchanges is very low. So we'll see what happens there and what kind of catalyst could trigger that. So first, state strategic reserve passed. All we need is, I believe, like the governor of the state to sign it, and that's it. But it's the very first one that has gone through all of the checks and balances to initiating a state reserve. And I heard that some people, there's like, it could generate, what was it? I don't know, almost $30 billion or something like that over time into this fund. So that'd be really interesting. And if we start seeing a lot of adoption like this, I mean, we might get some sort of adoption curves, an S adoption curve that, forces the price of Bitcoin very high. I don't know that these 4-year cycles are going to be completely gone, but I feel like they're going to be muted a little bit. So we'll see what happens here. We will definitely see what happens. But I just wanted to kind of talk about the topic of owning things. And there's really not a lot of things that you can own. I mean, even your fiat currency gets debased over time through inflation. So you really kind of just lose hold of your fiat currency as well. But yeah, property, can't really own it. Let's consider your car, for example. If you have a mortgage on your car, a loan out against your car, it's really the bank that owns it. And if you don't pay your taxes, which is here in the US, like your registration, your plates, you really can't hold your car, right? Because they will take away your driver's license, then you won't be able to drive it. If you don't fully insure your vehicle here in Michigan, I live in Michigan, and in Michigan, the insurance rates are ridiculous for cars. We have no fault insurance, meaning you got to pay healthcare regardless of what happens if someone gets hurt. So it doesn't matter whose fault the accident is. Basically you pay for your own, deposit on your insurance, etc. So it's just like really you really can't own a lot of assets, and the government can come take a lot of your assets if you don't pay your taxes, for example. They can come take your wages from your job and all of that stuff. And really the only thing that's immune to being taken from the government is if you had your Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrencies on cold storage and you're the only person who has the keys. I mean, there's really no way for them to take them from you. I mean, the government could say you owe X amount of money and but how are they going to get your keys, right? They're going to come raid your house and find your seed phrase. I mean, it's really a low chance of happening. It's really almost like Bitcoin and crypto are the only thing that you can truly have ownership about, especially if you're using like a no KYC exchange and they're not even aware. And there's also privacy coins, stuff like XMR, which actually is doing very good recently. There's a lot of privacy coins. Even Litecoin, actually, surprisingly, I think a lot of people don't know this, but Litecoin has a privacy aspect that probably most people don't know about. But you can do transfers and stuff with Litecoin, and you can turn on a privacy setting for Litecoin when you send it. It's kind of interesting. I think a lot of people don't even know that, but XMR is another one that is a privacy coin that people can not even know who owns it, and that's kind of the point. And it's kind of interesting because the original idea of Bitcoin was this thing that can never be debased, this basically this currency that no one can take from you if you hold your private keys. Now, of course, if you hold your Bitcoin or any other crypto on an exchange like Coinbase, if that exchange goes under, you do lose everything. So the only way is to hold your keys. Now, here's a privacy coin. Unfortunately, sometimes these privacy coins are used for fraud, and I heard that this one spike here was because someone hacked a bunch of Bitcoin and then converted it into Monero. And then it was basically a very large amount, and boom, that pumped the price about 40%. Another thing I've said on the channel is usually when you get these really big wicks, that kind of clears the orders and liquidity out of the way. So usually the price may go up. So when you see this big spike, you could have probably purchased here, and we may see up here a 27%. Honestly, the price of Monero over time has been very stable. There's not really big swings. Let's see what this top to bottom is. Okay, that's a 90% downturn in the bear market. But just from about 2022 till now, the price has stayed very stable. It's only in the last couple months that the price has started to pump pretty high. If you look at other coins, they're seeing a little bit more upside, but it's been a very stable coin. Now, do you want your crypto to be a stable coin? Not really, because you're looking to outperform, right? You're looking to outperform the US dollar, which only goes down. If you just look at the price of everything, you look at the money supply in COVID. If we go look at the money supply here, if I go to my indicators and if you just go to M2, you can see, my God, look at that. So this is basically how much money is printed, right? And if you look at COVID, they printed 41% of the money supply, $6.37 trillion, which is freaking insane. They just added to, that's straight up a 40% inflation of your money, right? So your money loses 40% of its buying power. And it's kind of like a all-time tax on people that they don't really realize is happening. People are always like, a lot of the thing for like electing Trump, for example, was like, oh, we want our groceries to go down. And honestly, unless you get negative inflation, you're really never going to have that go down, right? So it's kind of just interesting. Fiat currency just is always printed. The government prints it to bail themselves out. They lower interest rates so they can refinance their debt, and then they print a bunch of cash for free to pay off their debt. So I don't know. Bitcoin is a very attractive scenario, right? It's a very attractive asset just because it's kind of like a hedge against inflation. So it's just really interesting. You really can't own much because the government can take it over, whoever can take it over. So as long as we don't get any sort of recessions coming or anything like that, it's interesting. It's very interesting. So I thought I would just kind of quickly hit this topic today. I didn't have many ideas for a video this morning, so I do a lot of market updates and stuff like that. But if you do want to join the Discord, feel free. There's just a couple of us in here. It's not a huge Discord, but if you do want to suggest any videos, feel free to do that. Again, I am waiting for cycle lows. So if you do want to try my link for Bitunix, if you do want to try leverage trading, there is, this is probably one of my favorite exchanges. And I only have my one trade open right now. As I said, I'm waiting. My case, oh God, what did I just open? My case for the current Bitcoin and other crypto prices right now is I'm thinking that we're going to get some sort of a pullback, and then I'm max long. So I'm going to put in some big orders, and we're going to ride hopefully to somewhere in the $150,000 to $250,000 range by the end of the year. So I'm going to try to catch a big move. Again, my indicator is saying we're coming up to a low here soon, but I just thought it'd be kind of an interesting topic to talk about. I was talking to some coworkers. I do still work a 9 to 5 every day. So we'll see what happens here, but I think we're going to see some big pumps here. I closed most of my leverage for now because I'm thinking we're going to get somewhat of a big dip here, and then we'll see what happens. Let's see. So right now, Bitcoin, most people are long. Litecoin, most people are short, really. Honestly, most people are kind of short on it, and the price has been going down a little bit. I have opened some orders. I'm obviously very negative right now, but I think I'll have no problem making this back up in the next couple months. So be careful with leverage. I had a risk management video that I put out the other day, and I'm happy it got some views because sometimes when I put trading videos out, they don't do very well. And risk management is probably the most important thing you could ever learn if you're trying to do any leverage trading. So if you do want to sign up, I have a link below, and just be careful. Use small amounts of money to start. And that's kind of what I talked about in this video. I talked about, only risking 1 to 2% of your account at a time, right? So, but yeah. That's it for the video, guys. Just want to talk about it. What is the only thing you can own? Bitcoin. It really is. And other cryptocurrencies, of course. And you put them on a like a ledger device or a Trezor. And I'm looking to make a video on cold storage devices as well and all that. I think it's a good idea if you want to hold long term to hold on a cold storage device. And that's it. Have a great day, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. A little bit of a different one. Leave a comment below, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to leverage trade, of course, feel free to use the link below. It is the best way to support me on this channel. And that's it. Have a great day. See you guys.